Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a farm tour of my Stardew Valley Perfection Farm. This was the first farm that I ever played in Stardew Valley, so I wanted to do a tour of it for everybody. For those who don't know me, my name's Christopher. I'm an Aussie Stardew Valley content creator. I make videos on my favorite games, and I figured it'd be a really nice time to just do a tour of my farm and show off one of my first ever max builds that I ever did within Stardew Valley. The overall theme of this farm is that I wanted to have one of everything present on it, as you'll see throughout the build, but let's get started. We'll kick things off with a small tour of the farmhouse to get things going, so let's hop inside. I've designed each room within the house to be different. Here we're starting with the living room, which just has a standard dining table and a small nook off to the right that I turned into a cute little Junimo space. As we make our way through the build, off to the right here is the main bedroom and Leah's room. Leah is who I decided to marry on this playthrough just because she's one of my favorite characters. The bedroom is probably one of the more boring rooms in the build, so we'll move off to the bottom room down here. I designed this room to be a sunroom. I really wanted this to be a nice little chill out spot where you could sit back and just read a book. That's what inspired the windows and the light brown floorboards. I think the bookcases and the green furniture tie it together really nicely. Moving up to the top of the house, we have our Joja dedicated room. I added this in the 1.6 update. I love the way this room came together. It just felt ridiculous having an entire room dedicated to Joja, which is mainly why I wanted to design it. And then if we follow this through to the right, I have a very 60s and 70s inspired room. I really wanted this to look like a dorm room that you could just sit back and listen to a record in. I have bookcases behind shelves and groovy lamps to give it a nice cozy feel. Then off to the right, I have our treasure room with some of the rarer items I've found in the game, and a safe, which I think makes the room feel more like a vault and treasure room. As we make our way back through the Joja room, this is my media and entertainment room where I just have the TV and some fish tanks on display. Then off to the left is the study. This is very solar inspired and medieval, which ties in well with the attic, which is just up here. With the attic, I went a bit crazy with the Wizards catalog to give this room a very mythical vibe. I wanted the attic to feel like something out of a fairy tale book, like a room that you discover in your house that just feels very whimsical. The cauldron and the books and potions really bring this room to life, I think. Making our way downtown, we have the kitchen here, and I've added some garden pots to grow crops inside. Added some windows up near the fridge and the cabinets just to open up the area a little bit, give it some light and life. In this last room, I used the Wizard catalog and the standard catalog to turn this room into a medieval dining hall. I added the dual fireplaces to give the room a really strong Game of Thrones vibe with dual hearths, and I used the trash catalog to add some rubbish to make the room feel a little bit more lived in. Our final room is down in the basement, where I, like many of you, use this to age wine. I didn't optimize this space entirely because I wanted the basement to feel very cozy. I added some chairs and a fireplace and a rug with some toys to just add a little bit more atmosphere. I wanted this room to feel like the basement was lived in or part of a homestead, and I think the little additions really bring that idea together. And now we'll make our way back through the front of the house and do the long-awaited farm tour. Off to the right here, I have our partner space with Leah's sculpture. I turned this little area into a small outdoor eating area, and then I added the butterfly hutch. We'll walk along here to where the stable is and our horses relaxing, and where I keep my main shed and the obelisks. I kept the obelisks near the warp home spot, and I added some potions around them just because the obelisks are more of a mythical item. I thought the potions really fit that, but we'll come around here and we'll check out my first shed. I really wanted the shed to look like a workshop. I have all the chests color coded. I don't have any signs or anything just because after playing this build for 250 hours, I've just come to remember where everything is stored for the most part. The shed is more aesthetically inspired than it is actually practical. I have the workbench and the anvil set up. I don't really use them all that much. The workstations are more just for show to give it more of a workshop vibe. If you haven't decorated the sheds before, definitely try it because it can add a lot of extra character and design aesthetic to your build. I really love the way that they showcase more of your build. Now we'll move off to the left here and go and check out the mushroom cave. This was the first thing that I actually decorated on this farm, and I really wanted to give it a fae vibe, which is why I added the candy canes, the crystals, and the grass. Similar to the sheds, I don't think a lot of people actually realize that you can design and change the cave, which I think is really cool. We're going to make our way down to the coops now. I've got some mystic trees off on the right here, and I've added some mushrooms mushroom trees to give a bit of a mythical forest vibe to where the coops are. I have the maximum amount of each animal in the coops and barns, and they're all decorated. Rather than travel in between them, I'll just showcase them all right here. I really wanted to give the coops a homey feel, so I decorated all of them. I love the animals in Stardew Valley, so I felt like adding these little homey touches really made these spaces quite nice. Decorating these spaces does make them a little bit difficult to navigate, but I really think that it makes them just look so cute, so I definitely think that it's worth it. As we continue our journey around the farm, to the left here is where I've got Grandpa's shrine. I have all the statues set up that I've found throughout the game, and a little park bench seating area with a jukebox. As we make our way towards the fish ponds, you'll probably notice that I have one of every fruit tree set up, just speaking back to that original theme, and I have one of every different colored fish pond that you can have. This space isn't necessarily completely optimized. I just wanted to mix up each of the different variants of fish pond that you could have, and I've got a little spot down here for the mystic trees and a spot where we can use the row to create different kinds of caviar. This next room is a little bit out of control, but this is our slime hutch. This is decorated, but also quite optimized. As you can see, it's a little bit out of control right now because I actually haven't been in this room in a little while. Then as we make our way off to the left here, I've got the well, the windmill, and a little co-op trailer for whenever I invite friends over to show them this farm. And you'll notice I actually have battery packs tucked behind all of the sheds. I've done this to try and optimize getting as many batteries as I can, but by hiding them as well. And now we'll do a quick tour of each of the sheds that I have. I have a shed for kegs, preserve jars, crystallariums, a dehydrator, some produce, and I've also got some for furnaces. I won't travel in between each of these. I'll just showcase what each of them look like. This was to try and get as much money as I can. Again, this is a very late game farm, so getting these rooms was pretty intensive. I did try my best to keep them all fairly uniform though, just because of my OCD, and it tickled a really strong itch in my brain to have them all with the same lights, windows, walls, and floorboards. This brings us down to the bottom left corner where I first set up a little power plant station. This was before I added the lightning rods behind any of the sheds, and then this will bring us into our greenhouse. This is honestly my pride and joy within this build and was one of my favorite things to make. I really wanted to decorate this to look as overgrown as humanly possible, which is why I've got as many fruit trees and tea saplings and grass as I could possibly fit, just to make it feel like a very cozy, lived-in homestead greenhouse, and I love the way that it came together. I think it looks great. I also really like the design of the outside of the greenhouse as well, with the mushroom trees and the pot plants and the other little mushroom stumps. I think that brings it together. And this brings us to the little central park that I made of this build. I put some benches right near the little pond, and I've got the crab pots in there, and I've got a little radio set up. I just wanted this to be a nice little spot where I could sit if I ever invited any friends over while they had a look at the farm. And this is my little clock decoration. Those that have done perfection know how difficult this can be to obtain, costing 10 million gold. And I've got these little plaques set up signifying when I did actually get perfection on each of these farms, because I just thought it'd be worth noting down. As we walk off to the right here, I've got a small section set up of all the different giant crops that you can get with the Junimo huts. Then I created a small little spot for beehives and some trees with deluxe tappers. I've got a tree farm for all the different types of trees that you can get down the bottom there with deluxe tappers on them too. And then for all of the animals that we have here, I have silos off to the right with a chest behind them stacked full of hay, and then just some extra space for beehives here to collect some more honey and make some more money. Now, as we walk up to the last part of the farm, this is where all of my barns are located. I really wanted this space to be very fairy forest inspired, especially with all of the different mushroom trees that you can get, and putting tappers on them and just adding little bits of crystal and grass and the crystal footpaths. I really wanted this to feel overgrown and luscious and just like a fairy homestead. And I feel like it came together so well. I was so happy with how this looked. And I've also decorated each of the barns specifically as well, and I'll showcase those now. The barns and coops I wanted to keep practical but also very well decorated. So each of them have an auto grabber, a heater, an auto petter, and I've filled them in with different pieces of furniture that I could find, workstations or workbenches as well, and pieces of fence, just to really fill in each of these rooms and make them feel very cozy. Again, I love the animals in Stardew Valley, and I wanted to make their little living spaces as cozy as I could. And that brings us to the end of my 1.6 Perfection Farm tour. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through to the end. If you've made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I upload Stardew Valley content weekly and other videos on topics that I'm passionate about. I also have a Discord server, so if you want to show me your Perfection Farm, feel free to join it. The link's in my description. And let me know what some of your memorable experiences with Stardew Valley have been down in the comments section as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!